We had a happy life, and as children, my parents were good to us. We had a good life. My mother was a housewife. My dad was a traveling salesman, and was a good provider. I cannot complain as a child. We had a pretty good life.
He went to school, came home, made homework, had to practice the violin, had to... Yeah, we were lucky, you see. We had the season change. We have rain and snow. So what is the kid to do? You cannot play outside like in California. You stay at the home, and what shall you do? You read a book. And that was a blessing.
Sundays were family days. We spent the whole day. We would go biking, 100 kilometers, whatever, picnic. It was a very happy childhood, very good childhood.
The farmers used to bring the products to sell, and people used to put up stands to sell suits, shoes, all necessities for people's everyday life.
It started in 1933. Hitler came to power and started first with the communists, started trouble, then started with the Jews. And I felt already in school, when I went to school, they put me in the last row of the class because I was Jewish.
I was walking to school, and a group of teenagers, maybe 18 years old, 2 girls and a boy, were across the street and saw me going to school, and they knew it was a Jewish school, and I was 6 years old at the time. They just crossed the street over to me, and one of them hit me very hard across the face and called me Zaui Jude, dirty Jew. And that was really the first time that I thought of myself as a Jew per se. I mean, I must have known I was Jewish as a child, but it didn't, mean anything. I was a Jew. I was a girl. This incident was kind of traumatic.
In the morning, all of a sudden, we went out to school and we saw smoke and fire. And temples, in Berlin, they started like a pogrom. They started to breaking the windows. There were a lot of Jewish stores. They broke the windows from the stores, and they took out the merchandise. They brought big picket signs, "Don't buy from the Jews," and they started burning the synagogues.
So what? They burned books, slang them on the street, burned them. As a child, I said, books what we learn from, what's happening? Mad.
We're sort of slowly, systematically reduced to second-class citizens. But for a while, we were still free. We were still in our homes.
The Germans entered in the morning, September 1st, crossed the border without declaring the war, and started to enter Poland. But the night before, they bombarded all Polish airports, and for this reason, not one Polish airplane could go up and fight the Germans.
And I remember my mother waking us up and being in tears and said, the Germans have entered Holland and we're at war.
It took him only a few days to come to our city. First the city was bombed. Both flour mills were taken out, and my uncle got killed in the first flour mill. His name was Ishmael Schultz. and they bombed the city at random just to make chaos, you know. And then they came in. The first thing they did is take out 12 Jews that belonged to the city government and the elder, and shot him in the middle of the marketplace. This was the first taste of the German brutality.
Racial laws almost immediately took effect. We were ordered to wear first yellow armbands, which later turned into the Yellow Star.
Jews cannot work as doctors, Jews cannot work as, even those doctors that took care of only Jews. Jews, everybody who had office job, government job is out.
They would drag, especially old Jewish people with beards, and make them kneel on the floor and scrub the streets and then kick them and laugh.
We couldn't go out too much on the street because they beat up the Jews all the time, and especially from the Hebrew school.
When this happened, I felt a great deal of rejection. And I can remember saying and thinking to myself, why was I born Jewish?
The Germans announced that they needed 2,000 young men, and they needed them with college educations, preferably fluent in 2 out of 3 languages, Russian, Lithuanian, and German, and that these people would be given a chance to do easy work, research at universities and so on. And it sounded absolutely marvelous. So anybody who had any protectia, any pull, tried to get in those 2,000. And then the day came and they marched out the best and the brightest we had. And they took them to a place called the Ninth Fort, which was about 10 miles out of the city, an old World War I Russian fortress. And this is where they were killing people. They were bringing in people there from Lithuania, but also from Germany and from France and from all over the place. And it wasn't anything sophisticated, just machine guns and bulldozers and so on. So they killed the 2,000. They were never seen again.
The meantime, the Warsaw Ghetto was formed, and they started putting people from all over. And we were told we're going to move to the Warsaw Ghetto. This was beginning of 1940.
They announced that all of the gold and silver and valuables and furs and radios, watches, clocks, all that had to be delivered within 72 hours. And they apparently felt that they weren't getting enough. So they decided to show us that they were serious about it. And what they did was they sent armed patrols to every corner house on every street. And out of every corner house, they took 2 men at random, shot them, and just let them lie there. And we happened to live on a corner at that time. So they came to our house, they took out my grandfather and one of my uncles, and we heard shots and we came out, and there were the 2 dead bodies.
They are building a camp in a small town called Auschwitz. And they are built we have the feeling something is built there that will help them to execute Jews in large amounts. I cannot tell you what I talked about the gas chamber, but I talked about preparation for mass execution.
They told us we're going to a working camp, and we're going to work. When the war is over, everybody goes home, and that's it. So my poor father says, look, they will not kill us just because we are Jews. We are not criminals, we are not even political, not that we are communists or socialists, whatever. We are just normal people who worked hard all their life, and they did not kill us. He assured me. I asked him what will happen. He said, don't worry, we're all going to work, and the war will be over soon, and we're all going to come home.
I don't know how many people there were, but we were packed in like herrings, practically. It was just suffocating, hot, smelly. You had your bathroom right there. You didn't go out. They never opened the doors. And if somebody was screaming that somebody died or something, they still didn't open the doors.
And suddenly then after 3 days and 3 nights, the door opened up, you know. Raus! 4 o'clock in the morning, Birkenau, raus, so schnell wie möglich, raus! At that moment, we thought we were in hell.
Thousands of people were pouring out of this train. The train had no end. I couldn't see the end of it. And there was tremendous chaos. Children looking for parents and mothers calling their children's names. And it was impossible to find anybody.
And then I saw this big sign. Arbeit macht frei. Work makes free. And the interesting thing, the first thing I saw was there was entrance. I never saw a sign which said exit.
I remember my sister and I hugging each other for a little body wound. We were freezing. And then at midnight they took us into this barrack where they shaved our heads, our bodies. They sprayed us with DDT, pesticide. And then we walked through a door where 2 prisoners greeted us. One gave us a recycled dress, which we put on our naked bodies. And another prisoner had a bucket of yellow paint and a brush about 4 inches wide and painted a yellow streak from the top of our shaved head down through our back. This was the identification of being a Jewish prisoner.
They pressed the number into my left arm. This whole side is not anywhere in the world. This whole side is here, Birkenau. But at that moment, when you get that pressed into you, your dignity, you know what is this, what is like an animal, you felt so undignified, you felt so unpractical, you at that moment I felt I was nobody anymore. Because he said to us afterwards, now this is, when you asked your name, this is your number.
I asked this couple, when are we going to be reunited with our parents? And she pointed to one of the chimneys of the crematoria, which I didn't even see until then. And it was then that I noticed these 4 brick chimneys bellowing fire and soot. And she said, "Do you see this chimney?" I said, "Yes." She says, "There go your parents. And when you'll go through the chimneys, you'll be reunited."
I mean, I smelled in my life bad smells at times. The cow manure or whatever, it was bad smell. This was the worst smell that I ever smelled in my whole life.
Before you went to sleep, they used to dig holes outside. You wake up in the morning, the holes was filled up. They used to kill people at night. They used to take them out for nothing. You see, a lot of people. I was young, so I could take it. A lot of people, they was older. They was in the camps. He couldn't walk no more to work. So you couldn't work to work. You couldn't walk to work. So they don't need you there. They shot you for nothing.
I saw sadism, cruelty from the Germans and anyone that had a higher rank, whether it was a prisoner himself, but he had to show to the Germans that I'm doing what you might want me to do, and so on. I saw a lot of cruelty. I never thought that people can handle other people like that with such cruelty.
As I was ready to go and shove this cart toward the crematorium, I hear a voice saying, "Oh, please give me water. Oh, please give me water." And I look around and see where it came from. Who said that? And the man, I noticed them. Well, this is the man I just picked up. I went to the capo. I said, "Ham Capo, Mr. Capo, this man I just picked up and put him on the cart, he's not dead at all. In fact, he's asking for water, and if we would give him water and a little food, he could survive, and he could come to himself, and it would be very useful because he could go to work. So when we arrived to the crematorium, this couple forced me to be the one who shoves this man into the oven and burn him. And I had to comply with his wish, or else I'll be in it. Now, I have never lived that through. To these days, sometimes I wake up during the night screaming, and I'm seeing this man and hearing his cry. And I had to burn him.
From the fire, it goes in your heart every time. Shema Yisrael. God, where are you? Where is the promises? Why? I'm a religious man. I believe in you. And this, you know, you never forget in your life.
I laid down between the dead people. And I stayed there 2.5 days between the dead people. That was the last 2.5 days before we were liberated by the English. That's how I survived. If I wouldn't have done this, probably 2 days later they would have pulled me into that pile of dead people.
The Germans asked us to start digging our graves. And they told us, you dirty Jews, you're not going to escape. We're going to shoot you before we leave. And so we dug our graves, and every day we weren't sure when will be our last day. And one day we went to sleep, and the next morning we got up, and there was no wake-up call. And we went up, and there were no Germans around. And it was a beautiful day, May 8th, 1945.
This was the end of it. So I was home free, with nobody, and I had to start a new life.
It was a few boys like me who still was healthy, and we took revenge. I used to knock the hell out of them. They used to call Judenschlagen, Jewish people are killing us. So you kill us too. Yeah, I take revenge a little bit for them. I used to tell them, this is for my mother, this is for my father, this is for my sister and brother. I used to give them the business.
I decided that I want to be a soldier in Israel. This was something so important to us survivors of the camps that we didn't want to wait. We wanted to have this tomorrow. People that we lost everything. This was the most important thing that I was able to think about it. That I'll be in my own country. I'll be a soldier. I'll be somebody strong.
I often wonder why it was necessary for me to have survived. And when cruelty, you speak of cruelty in that way, sometimes you will even refer to, to your Almighty, to God, and ask Him, why did He have to be so cruel and leave me here?
I have guilty feelings. Why did I remain alive and not one of my brothers? Or not my younger brother, one immediately younger? He was a handsome guy. Girls were hovering around him all the time.
Like I say, I survived, the only one from my family. The only one. My wife is the only survivor from the whole family. Our kids don't have no aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no nothing. So you know what we think about it. Sometimes we get together, we reminisce.
You must always be involved. Don't ignore it by thinking, well, this is the other guy and I cannot be involved. I would say you have to be involved. Because if not, God forbid, the same thing can happen again. No matter how wonderful the country, you only need a couple of people that start spreading rumors. And the whole darn thing can come tumbling worse than an earthquake.
Don't hate anybody. Just don't hate anybody, because look what happened from the hatred. And because somebody has a different religion or different race, or you shouldn't look at that. You should look for the person, the human being, what is inside. And if somebody a good human being, that's what you have to look.
There's got to be a reason why God left you alive and so on. And the reason is, I showed you a picture of my family. That's my reason for, I'm glad that I remained alive. I found a wife, and I still can't believe that I have my own 2 children, whom I love. I mean, I know other people love their kids, but I'm being accused in the family. I've never seen a crazier father than you are. And I think they're right.